Hello everyone! Welcome back to Fan Mail, where I answer your questions, display submissions, and anything else that we might find. First off, I hope everyone enjoyed Brotherhood War. And looking at the stats for the series, you did. Like, really did. I mean, holy crap did this series do well. Which is really cathartic for me because over a year's worth of blood, sweat, and tears went into Brotherhood War. Not just from me, but from the voice actors, the animators, and many of you as well. I want to express my gratitude to all of you for your continuing support. This right here is why I make machinima, so we can all enjoy it together. On that note, production for Brotherhood War Aftermath has been started, and if all goes well, we should see it by the end of the year. It'll be a much shorter project than Brotherhood War, but will provide closure on many things that Brotherhood War did not. Stay tuned on news for that. Also, no, I haven't forgotten Wasteland. Unfortunately, Laughing Block, who plays the Hunter, has had a lot going on lately, but he assures me that he'll have more lines in soon, so we should be seeing another Wasteland episode before too long. Thanks for your patience on this, fans of Wasteland. I really appreciate it. Finally, to everyone who sent me questions related to Halo Infinite, thanks for your questions, but I still just don't have anything to say about Halo Infinite right now. With those announcements out of the way, I need to put out the usual disclaimers. Not all submitted questions may be answered due to episode time requirements, and this episode will contain major spoilers for Brotherhood War, so if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend doing so before watching this fan mail episode. For today's guest star, I'm doing something a little different, kind of like last episode. While this character is one of my own, she's in a different vein than the heroes and friends we usually see on this show. This guest star is the first villain to be featured on Fan Mail, and considering the events of Brotherhood War, I thought it fitting to bring her on stage. Enter the Lifebringer.
Silence, you fools. You stand in the presence of your superior.
Welcome to the show, Lifebringer. How's the occupation of Earth going?
Flawlessly, as was expected. But you have shown me there is a world beyond my own, your world, Chronicler, and I believe it shall be my next target.
I wouldn't try it. I put you into this world, I can take you out. Plus, I have an extra eye on you. Sup, LB?
The traitorous monitor is here?
Yeah, Chronicler brought me in to make sure you don't try anything funny. It's a pretty important job. Kinda makes up for past disagreements. Love you, Guardian. So, now that you know you're being watched, Lifebringer, how about you just play nice and answer questions?
Very well. I shall comply. For now.
Glad to hear it. Let's get this show on the road. Our first question is from Logan Blue 44, who was kind enough to do the audio himself.
Dear Chronicler 177, do you have any plans to do more horror stuff in the future? P.S. I would advise against looking in the vents.
The vents? Joey, get out of here! Where's my fucking show, Chronicler? I'll get back to it in the future, I promise. Fuck you! To answer your question, Logan, I'm not sure if horror can be properly done in the machinima medium. It just doesn't give you enough to work with to make truly scary content. I consider Bikeron to be mostly a failure on the horror front, and I don't really plan on trying again. I've got plenty of other stuff I'm more eager to work on anyway. Our next question is from Justin DG, who's been sitting on this one for nearly a year now.
For the Lifebringer, since you were active in the Forerunner Flood War, have you ever interacted with the Didact?
I know the Didact by reputation only, but his creation of the Prometheans did inspire my design for the Hyborians. I feel admiration for him, and perhaps a sense of kinship. He and I were some of the few willing to sacrifice great things for victory over the Flood, and both of us were punished for trying to deliver our people from certain doom. A pity how the Ecumene Council developed a habit of condemning their saviors.
This question comes from Captain Nick CK.
Hello there, Chronicler. I was wondering about Spartan Hadley's decision to kill that reformist. Did he have no fear of repercussions such as court-martial? Sincerely, Captain.
Hadley's greatest weakness was his overconfidence in himself, his team, and the Spartan program in general. When he executed Jonah Abadi, he had no doubt in his mind that he was doing the right thing, and that Corsair would go along with it. And he was partially correct there, as Scott covered for him. If Scott hadn't done that, it's possible that Hadley would have faced grave consequences from the UNSC. That is, of course, if someone further up the command chain didn't just brush it under the rug. After all, why punish a highly trained, invaluable super soldier for simply killing an enemy during a time of civil war, right?
One might say Spartan Hadley is serving his sentence right now. His complete trust in my Spartan program made him, and those like him, play right into my hands, and see where that has gotten them.
Here's a submission from Cody.
Hello, my name is Cody, and I'm sending this regarding me watching Halo Butt Buddies series. I love the videos you guys put together, and I gotta say, you are awesome. I hope to see more awesome and amazing videos in the near future. Keep up the good work. You make me laugh. Thank you for that. With the coronavirus going around the world, it's nice to have some sense of humor every now and then. Keep safe and healthy, man.
Thanks, Cody. Glad you're enjoying the content. I really enjoy voicing Harold and hope to play him again soon.
Do I want to know what a butt buddy is?
Nothing you need to be concerned with. Now we've got several questions from Bobby Bonifazi.
Hey, Chronicler, it is Bobby Bonifazi. I was watching episode 4 of Brotherhood War, and one thing had me concerned. 1, what are your next plans for the Spartan Legacy? 2, I'm kind of curious what Sergeant Scott was up to during the Reach trilogy. Also, my hat is off to you. You were a really inspiration, man, and your video really helped me through so tough parts of life. I've been watching your channel since I was in junior high, and I must say, you never disappoint. Thank you for all your work, and I really hope the best for the future. Sincerely, Bobby Bones 12.
Thanks for the questions, Bobby. Next up for the Spartan Legacy is my current project, Brotherhood War Aftermath, which is a sort of epilogue for Brotherhood War and a stepping stone to the final part in the Lifebringer saga. As for Scott, he was deployed elsewhere during the Reach trilogy, so he wasn't available to help out during the Third War. My guess is he was part of an operation dedicated to recovering Covenant tech left over from the First War or something, but I'll have to check with him. These next questions are from Naomi.
To the Lifebringer, how do you feel about the Liberian? For Kron, what's your biggest regret in your machinima career?
The Liberian? If you mean the librarian? I think she was a fool who mistakenly placed her trust in humans instead of her own people. As a life worker, I worked under her for thousands of years, but found her to be too obsessed with the survival of lesser races, to be of any use against the Flood, prompting me to divert my path towards the birth of the Hyborians. In the end, despite all of her efforts, she perished and I survived. Part of me wishes she was still alive to see how right I was.
My biggest regret is waiting so long to get a proper capture card, particularly when it comes to the Lifebringer machinima. Halo 4 has so many pretty maps, and I barely used any forge sets there, relying almost entirely on developer-built maps for sets. Unfortunately, Lifebringer's visual quality is particularly poor due to a converter I was using for the time, not to mention all the awful screen tearing. I squandered my best chance to utilize Halo 4's beautiful array of sets, and sometimes I get sad thinking about how much better it would have been had I just bought a damn capture card earlier. Here's a few questions from Showery Dragoon. Hi, Chronicler. It's been a while since my last fan mail. Here are my questions that I do want to ask you and the guest. For Chronicler, what are your thoughts on The Thief and the Cobbler? Do you think it should get re-released to its actual director's cut? Also, I'm out of ideas in general. After I got to release my own project, I didn't know on what else to work on. What would be your recommendations? For the guest, for Godzilla vs. Kong, who would win? Would it be Godzilla or Kong? Anyway, thanks for reading my fan mail, Chronicler, and I hope you have a fantastic day. P.S. Also, one more thing. I sent something in this fan mail that has to do with a zigzag and a chieftain.
More strange mentionings. What is a zigzag and a chieftain?
Oh, just an inside joke. Hey, Lifebringer, what do you call a large group of people, typically with vehicles or animals, traveling together in single file?
That would be a...
'Cause I call it a...
so loud.
That was for Braxton. Anyway, Dragoon, I really like the animation of The Thief and the Cobbler, but I believe the story left something to be desired. It was a bit simplistic. Well, that's a bit nitpicky of me, though, as the animation that was completed was truly spectacular. While I'd like to see a version of it that was 100% complete, I just don't think it'll ever happen. That window has closed. As for your own project, I bet you could be really good at Source Filmmaker or Gmod videos, like Dr. Lalv or those guys, if you gave it a shot.
What? In the mantle?
And as the Lifebringer probably has no idea who Godzilla or Kong are, I'll answer the guest question. Godzilla would totally win, because he can shoot fucking lightning out of his mouth. Thanks again for all your hard work on Brotherhood War, Dragoon. Bing! We got a couple of questions from Simon here.
Dear Chronicler177, have you ever considered remaking or redubbing the ending to Reach the Last War when Catherine joins with Saul in the afterlife? Just that specific scene, as I know how very difficult it'd be to remake the entire series. It doesn't have to be now, but I think such a video would be sweet, like Saul's epilogue. Dear Lifebringer, why did you choose a Scottish accent for when you were posing as director Manias? Do you possess the capacity to love? What was it like being trapped in that endless loop?
I hadn't really thought about it, Simon. I don't see much of a need to redo that scene. Can't think of much that I'd change.
Of course I possess the capacity to love. I simply have not found anything worth loving aside from my Hyborians. Regarding my choice of accent when creating Manias, I desired to take on a friendly, comforting aspect. My analysis of humans suggested that the Scottish accent was considered amiable enough, when intelligible.
Whatever you say, Sean Connery.
Are you mocking me?
Are you mocking me?
Cease this at once.
Cease this at once.
You insignificant fool!
Guardian? You wanna? You wanna?
You shall suffer for this.
Joke's on you. I suffer every day.
Just move on to the next letter.
Whoa, wait. You haven't answered Simon's last question about the infinite loop.
We don't talk about the infinite loop.
Okay. Moving on. Here's a question submitted by Shadow Wolf.
Hey, Chronicler, I have a question for you about voice acting. When it comes to other Halo machinimas you voice acted for, do accept any role you're given, or do you read them first and then decide?
I don't really get offered a lot of roles, but when I do, I always get whatever information I can on the character, then decide if I want to take it or not. I don't really think I've turned down anything so far, as most roles I get offered are cameos, with Harold from Butt Buddies being my only major role outside my own projects. Now here's a question from Will.
Dear Chronicler, what is your favorite Spartans from mainline Halo lore from each gen? So Spartan 2s, 3s, and 4s, excluding Chief and Noble 6. And as a counter, who's your favorite elite? Love, Will 043S2, the Clan Kid.
My favorite Spartan 2 other than Chief is Fred 104. For the 3s, it might be Tom B292, assuming, Zach doesn't count. And as for the 4s, I really like Thorn. My favorite elite would have to be Shipmaster Halfjaw. Our next letter from Ott Knight has 3 questions, all for you, Lifebringer.
How wonderful.
Questions for Lifebringer. 1. What is your favorite color? 2. Do you read any books? If so, what is your favorite? 3. Why are you so mean to humans?
Such petty questions. Very well. My favorite color is black. As Manias, I had a small amount of time to read books, and I found myself enjoying The Art of War by Sun Tzu, a very helpful novel. Given my plans and relative inexperience with military strategy, I may look down upon you humans, but I will give you this. Some of you are capable of writing real page-turners. As for why I'm so mean to humans, imagine, Ott Knight, if you will, you are comfortably living your life, and you have everything under control exactly the way you want it, and then a group of simple monkeys decide that they are just as good as you are, if not better, and begin disrupting everything you know, and making a mess of it all as they clatter around your home like idiots. You would hate those monkeys, wouldn't you? Yes, you would. You would hate those monkeys. Next question, monkey.
Okay. Looks like we have a letter from Hero Gameplays.
Chronicler! How do you feel about making a bunch of fan mail answering like 50 questions and having to do all the lines because you just talk to yourself? And what advice can you give for making machinima and balancing audio and sound? Thank you. If you decide to answer, I hope you have a blessed day and stay positive.
I think it's pretty easy, as usually I don't have to wait on other voice actors besides the guest to get lines in. It's fun getting to mess around with voices for the letters too. As for advice regarding balancing audio and sound, the best things I can say are, dialogue should be your #1 priority. Make sure that, above all else, your dialogue can be heard clearly and cleanly, unless the scene requires otherwise. Also, Watch your volume levels. If your audio is in the red or the wavelengths are hitting top and bottom, your audio may be too loud and it might start clipping. I have plenty of experience with clipping, and trust me, it's no good. Here's a little question from Balecore.
Kron, do you have a favorite Lego pre-config set you've ever built?
Yeah, I really like all my sets, but my pride and joy has to be the Tanev 4 from 2019. She's huge and looks really good on my shelf. It was a really interesting build too, with a lot of techniques I hadn't seen before.
Have you any further questions for me, or may I return to my universe? I have more pressing matters to attend to.
Actually, here's one from Zane specifically for you.
To the Lifebringer, what exactly were you before you became, well, the Lifebringer?
Before creating my Hyborians, I was part of the Lifeworker cast of Forerunners. My name was Life Brings Light and Song. I was skilled in genetic engineering, manipulation, and mutation development. Like all Lifeworkers, I worked under the Librarian, but as I stated before, I lost faith in the Lifeworkers and eventually took my own path. Creating the Hyborians was not all that different from gene work, and as their leader, I shortened my name to a simpler title, Lifebringer. It seemed more fitting, as I was now the mother of an entirely new race of beings.
Hey, as luck would have it, this question is for you as well. It's from Phoenix.
Dear Lifebringer, did you ever fight any flood in the Forerunner Flood War?
I feel the answer should be obvious, but you are human after all. Yes, I battled the flood during the twilight of my race. The Hyborians were created exactly for that purpose, and after creating my artificial body to prevent assimilation, I led them into several small confrontations with the flood. These battles were little more than head-on assaults designed to test the Hyborians' prowess. My children performed admirably, but I had little knowledge of the strategy at that time. While the Hyborians proved very effective at combating the flood, the Ecumene Council would soon put a stop to my testing and imprison us on Cradle. Fighting the flood is a memory I do not wish to revisit. They are a truly terrifying entity. Humanity's accounts of the flood pale in comparison of how they were during the end days of the war. They swallowed and converted countless star systems, assimilated billions of individuals. Their numbers blocked out the sun, and every planet they touched was twisted into a vile mockery of itself. While in stasis on Cradle, I experienced many dreams of where I was returned to those corrupt battlefields, my children and I surrounded by the endless horde of nightmares. Anyone who has not seen the flood in this capacity should consider themselves extremely fortunate.
Here's a couple of questions from major winners.
I got a question or two for the both of you. Lifebringer, can you regale us with any stories of the ancient human Forerunner War? Chronicler, will we ever see ODSTs again in your machinimas? I love them and hope they will have a comeback now that BW is over. Thanks for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And to the Lifebringer, here's to a quick death at the hands of humanity.
Remind me, Winters, who is the one with an army of super soldiers? Is it humanity? No, it is not. Watch your tone with me, boy, or you shall find you are the one suffering a quick death. As a life worker, I was not on the front lines dealing with our people's great war. However, I did take part in your species' forced devolution following your defeat. It was here that I learned a great deal about human biology, something that would aid me greatly in designing my Spartans.
ODSTs will definitely be coming back in the Spartan Legacy. I'm planning on giving them a big last hurrah in one of my future productions. You'll know it when you see it. Ren Vow asks,
A question for Chronicler. What gave you the idea to craft the Spartan Legacy? Moreover, when did the full storyline take shape? Was it something was planned from the beginning, or did it start having a set ending sometime after Generation?
The Spartan Legacy became the Spartan Legacy the moment I brought Catherine into the Reach trilogy, which was a spur-of-the-moment decision I made after finishing writing Revolution. Before that, Spartans, Reach Border War, and Reach Revolution were just a loosely connected series of events set in the Halo universe. As I finished writing The Last War and had Catherine pass the torch to Zack, I realized I had a great potential overarching storyline here, showcasing the mantle of Spartan being passed from hero to hero, and connecting major events in my post-Halo 3 storyline. I didn't start to think about ending it until I wrote Lifebringer, which can be considered a halfway point in the legacy. But once I looked over everything I wanted to accomplish in the legacy and the fact that my machinima career is heading towards its twilight, I realized that an ending was inevitable. Interesting to think that we're nearly there. There's less of the Spartan legacy to be released than there is currently published. Got some fan art and a question from CannonBuilt066. Wow, that looks really cool. If I wasn't sticking with the ice and snow feel for Aftermath, I'd maybe consider using that. Now for your question.
Yo, Lifebringer! How does the mind control chip that he augmented into the Spartan 5's heads work?
The biological receptor. My pride and joy as a life worker. My talents with genetic manipulation and thorough understanding of human biology allowed me to create the perfect means to control the Spartans. Undetectable by medical scanners, unnoticeable by its host, and irremovable without killing the Spartan. Implemented purely biologically. Masked by a series of normal augmentations, fast-growing, fast-acting, and once enabled, 100% effective and completely irresistible. The receptor is a biological node that, once implanted to its host, grows unobtrusively on a human cerebrum. When a human implanted with the receptor hears my signal, broadcast from any auditory emitter, the node activates and hijacks the host's central nervous system, injecting an irrefutable series of commands to obey me, follow any orders I give, and treat all of my enemies as hostile. The node does not require a continuous signal to work. Once activated, it is completely self-sustaining and will not expire, nor can it be surgically removed without killing or at the very least lobotomizing the Spartan. This ensures that my Spartan cannot be compromised by disrupting a signal from a central location, nor can they be turned against me via surgery. I assure you, Cannon Bolt, my hold on the Spartan 5s is quite secure. You have much cause to be afraid.
This question was sent in by Dullgrub9387.
Hey, Chronicler, I've worked with you for a bit, so how about this? In the past 2 or 3 years, what was your favorite blooper that happened and why?
Oh man, we've had some good ones, but I'd have to say the Pelican and Brotherhood War freaking out. That was pretty spectacular. Our last question today is from Shingeki no Kyojin.
What's your best tips on making a machinima? I'm working on one and was just curious what your best tips are, and I'm still seeing Thrug Brotherhood War, and so far it looks great.
Glad you're enjoying Brotherhood War. Here's one of my most valuable tips, I think. Take it one step at a time. Get the story outlining and the scripting done first before you're doing anything else. Don't release trailers before the project is done, and don't let yourself get overwhelmed by how much there is to do. Focus on one aspect of the production at a time and complete it before moving on to the next thing. I see a lot of aspiring creators jump in head first and then, to carry the idiom, they drown. Making machinima can be a hell of an undertaking, but like anything else you do, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Okay, that's all the time we have today, so...
Actually, I have a question.
Oh? Okay, go ahead.
You have me here. Why not kill me and free humanity?
Well, this is complicated.
Yeah, what's up with that, man?
See, the thing is, it's hard to explain. As a chronicler, I'm a storyteller. I just tell the stories the way I see them play out in my head. It's not my place to jump in and interfere. Some things just have to happen the way they're supposed to happen, you know? And it all works out like it needs to in the end. So when bad things happen and when characters die, obviously I don't want that to happen, but it has to, because that's how the story goes and I have to be impartial. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I think I get it now.
I understand. I understand that your inaction will cement my rule over Earth, but you won't hear me complaining. Just keep staying out of my way.
I think it's time for you to go now.
Gladly.
Thanks for coming to today's episode, guys. Remember, if you have a question or comment for me, post it in the fan mail channel of my Discord, or email it to chronicler177@gmail.com. Stay tuned for news on Aftermath. I'll see you around.